All right, so our next activity is to look at our grand staff. So far you have gotten very confident at identifying all of the space notes on the staff using FACE GBD. And you probably know that it's really important to know where the F notes are for figuring out FACE GBD, because that's where we start our pattern in each staff. So that's where our face is in the bass clef, and here's where our face is in the treble clef. And then we have our jib, bobbing B, ducking D, and then our top G right at the very top space as well. Now today we're going to talk a little bit about the line notes, and interestingly enough, because FACE GBD is the skips alphabet and all of the spaces on the staff are skips apart, we can actually use FACE GBD for figuring out the line notes as well, because each of the lines is also a skip apart. So we don't have to learn a new saying or anything, which is kind of nice. Now again, it's really important to find not only where the F notes are, but the G notes, because that's where we start the GBD. And you'll see why GBD in particular is important for the line notes. Let's pick a nice bright color. Okay, we got some green here. Hopefully you can see that okay. So that's where our G is to start the GBD in the bass clef, and then you probably remember treble G. So the lowest line is G in the bass, and in the treble clef, the G goes, it starts on line 2, because it goes through Mrs. Treble Clef's belly here. So right off the bat, we can figure out where the GBD ones are going to be. And then the other landmark note I bet you might remember is our bass clef F note. So that's actually where the face is going to be in the bass clef. So we have our F, A, and then the C is actually our middle C. So I'll draw a little line going through there. And then the E is in the treble clef. So that one's a bit tricky. One thing you might find helpful to do, I should have mentioned at the beginning to kind of copy along on your grand staff, but you can pause the video and go grab it and copy this out now. So it's kind of helpful maybe to draw circles for where the faces are and where the GBDs are. And then after the GBD and the treble clef, we also do have one more line, so that's going to go back to our F for face. So when you are practicing your notes from now on, why don't we start working on the lines? So if you're working towards your 60-second challenge, the silver level, the second level, is all line notes. So start off by learning all of the bass clef lines, just like we started off with bass spaces a while ago. So you're going to want to isolate from your card deck all of the bass space notes. And I would include middle C in that one as well. So these are the notes, total of 6 different notes you're going to isolate out. And when you're trying to figure out what note they are, just remember the lowest line is G. So there's 3 notes in particular you should remember. The lowest one, that's G. The F that goes through Mr. Bass Clef's big fat nose over here. And then your middle C as well. And so if you remember those 3, then the other ones are pretty easy to figure out.